Trainers, boxers, fight fans. It is another fresh episode of the No Decision Podcast with your guy, Wes Ibarra, and my favorite sparring partner in the whole wide world, Jared Joy Villapando. Joy, are you ready to make some rounds with me tonight?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right, gloves up, touch them up. Good, clean fight. Here we go. And obey my commands at all times, Joy. And pay attention, unlike last week. All right, round one. We got a ding dong alert. Ding dong alert. Okay, so when we say ding dong alert, what does that mean? It means somebody got knocked the fuck out. And in this case, it was Luke Cool Hand Campbell. Last Saturday, we had the Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell fight down in Dallas, Texas, over the zone. Early fight card, early day at the office for you and I, Joy. But hey, whole lot of fire to watch. It was literally fire versus ice. Uh, Ryan Garcia wins over Luke Campbell with a knockout victory, body shot to the kidney, liver from the left hand, dropping Luke Campbell to two knees. But the crazy part was that Luke Campbell knocked down King Rye
Right.
with a flush left hook in the second round, and the whole world, boxing world, literally turned upside down and turned right side up again in literally one fight in the hands of a guy in his early 20s. Holy cow. But hey, King Rye with the win, interim lightweight champion WBC. Joy, what is your reaction to Ryan Garcia winning this fight?
I am super impressed. I thought that this was gonna be. I thought this was gonna be the first time we see what Ryan Garcia would struggle, right? Like I didn't really think. I didn't really take. I will admit I didn't take Ryan Garcia very seriously. I think this Campbell fight was gonna be his first real test, and he passed it with flying colors. I'm super impressed. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's up next for Ryan Garcia.
It's good that you say that, Joy. And I'm starting to like Ryan Garcia.
Yeah,
Before
yeah,
we keep going, I'm starting to like him.
yeah.
Of course, there's a bit of a stigma, if you ask me, when it comes to social media, because what you see on social media isn't always representative of what goes on in real life,
Right,
right? So, of course, with Ryan Garcia, with the Gym Shark and the TikToks and the dodging the bags and the dummies and
right,
all that stuff, you would think that there's got to be some kind of catch to it. But
right.
with that fight, it
Yeah.
kind of felt like there was, and then over time he took over control, and as the
Mhm.
zone announcers would say, he shows shades of Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
He overcame that big knockdown, and he came away with the win. And yes, I am excited to see what's next. And that being said, he went out. He, as in King Rye, went out onto the mics and said he wanted Tank. He wanted Devin Haney, and Devin Haney happened to be in the crowd.
Right.
So, Joy, what do you think will actually happen? And do you think what will actually happen is what you want?
Ooh. Well, okay, yes, he did. He did call out Tank, right? But he is now the mandatory challenger for Devin Haney's title. And so I do think it is more possible that we will see Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia sooner or soon. But yeah, I would also love to see the Javante Davis versus Ryan Garcia. I think that'll also be a great fight. And so yeah, I mean, Ryan Garcia has pretty much gained a fan here. Like he's proven me wrong, and I'm excited to see him fight. You actually brought it out. You actually mentioned it. He reminds me a lot of Oscar De La Hoya. He's an orthodox fighter with, his strongest punch is his left hook, his left hand. And so, maybe is this the second coming of the Golden Boy? We still don't know, but it's looking pretty good in the early stages. And a win against Devin Haney could pretty much cement that. And I mean, also a win with Javante Davis would also cement that. But I think people see Javante more as a vicious, puncher. He's more of an aggressive fighter. So perhaps a win against Javante would probably, he would deserve a lot more respect. I will admit I haven't seen Devin Haney. I've only seen one fight against Devin Haney. Um, but yeah, he's a little bit more tactical, a little bit more, measured. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think it will be Garcia versus Haney instead of Garcia versus Davis. Perhaps that's after the Haney fight.
Well, we just gotta wait and see. Um, is it gonna really be a case of what the king wants, the king gets, or is it gonna be whatever Oscar has in his cards for Ryan Garcia? Nonetheless, we're seeing a good fighter on the way to becoming great,
Right.
and he needed to beat Luke Campbell and
Yeah.
overcome any kind of adversity that Cool Hand was willing to give him to make sure that he's legit to the eyes of the people.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I was
yeah,
about
no,
to say.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because like these young guys, they're in a great division, right? Lightweight. Um, obviously we have the fallen champ Lomachenko. He's just around the corner, and then we have the new crowned king in Teofimo Lopez. You know, and we still have Jorge Linares. We still haven't seen him in a while, so I do think he's gonna fight soon. And so yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. They're in a great division, and this is a division where you can definitely make a name for yourself.
for sure. And you know what I always say, uh, whenever those matches get made, there may be a winner and a loser, but there's always going to be someone that's going to be undefeated. And it's going to be us, the fans. Why?
Us,
Because we get to talk about it on a place like this every week.
absolutely.
So Ryan Garcia, big ups to you, man. Luke Campbell, hey, keep your head up. Still a great fighter in my eyes. I actually thought that you were going to turn the fight on its head, but hey, still a great effort no matter
Great
what.
effort. Yeah.
All right, that's the end of round one. Let's go into round two. We got the Battle of the Calebs. So the next big matchup this month is January 30th at the end of the month. Fox PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truax. Battle of the Calebs for the IBF Super Middleweight title, which is in the hands of Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. Plant being the pride of Tennessee, Truax being the pride of Minnesota. What are your thoughts of both Calebs? Caleb squared, Joy.
Well, yeah, actually, I spoke to you about this, Wes. Told you a story. Like, Caleb Plant, I didn't actually know about until his names kept, being repeated when in the conversation of Canelo, right? They say like Caleb Plant is the king of that division. He's the undisputed king of that division, and he should be the next opponent of Canelo Alvarez. Now, I didn't actually know, like I said, I didn't know who Caleb Plant was when he was brought up with Canelo. So immediately I had to do some research, and I will say I am very impressed. The guy, he's a natural. He's a natural boxer. He has the feeling. I do believe that boxers have this natural feeling to kind of, they can feel their opponent. They feel when their opponent is going to hit like the next punch that their opponent's going to throw. And I think Caleb Plant sees, he has that gift. And so, obvious, like he already has pretty good head movement. Of There's still a lot of work to be done with Caleb Plant, but I think he's good enough that he has already made a name for himself. But now I'm really excited just to watch him versus Canelo, or the possibility of Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. I also told you, Wes, that he reminds me a lot about a Lomachenko, like a bigger Lomachenko in the middleweight division. So yeah, I'm excited to see. This is gonna be a test for Caleb Plant, versus Caleb Truex. But we will see, right? We will see if Caleb Plant. I do think Caleb Plant will take this pretty well. I think he will respond pretty well. But yeah, like I said, I think this is probably going to be one of his first true tests to see if he does deserve to be in the same conversation as Canelo Alvarez.
For sure. And I wanted to touch on that just a little bit more. So I'm looking at the box rank of Caleb Truax. He is rated as a three-star fighter, 31 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, 19 of those wins by knockout. So what, in your analysis of Caleb Truax, gives you reason to believe that you will give Caleb Plant a hard time, or at least a true test into leading up to a fight with Canelo for Plant, or even a Billy Joe Saunders or a
Well, yeah.
Demetrius Andre?
Well, it's just the experience, right? I mean, 31 wins. I mean, obviously, like over like 35 fights. If you fight over 35, I mean, you're definitely going to be tested. And it seems as though Caleb Truax, he's already had those tests, and it seems as though he's failed some of those tests. But you know, of course, he's also built himself. 31 wins is not easy in boxing, and that's the thing. I think that is one of the tests that I thought that Luke Campbell was gonna give to Ryan Garcia, because Luke Campbell has a lot more experience. He's a gold medalist. Same here for Caleb Truax. He has a little bit more experience than Caleb Plant. So, like when you're getting in these dog fights with the veterans kind of have nothing, a lot. They don't have a lot to lose, and so they have a little bit more of that leeway of just letting their hands go. But Caleb Plant, he, like I said, right, he's trying to build his momentum. He has great momentum right now, and anything can stop him if he stops focusing. And you need to be on it. I think Caleb Plant needs to be 100% at all times if he wants to have that challenger's position for Canelo.
I see. So there you have it, folks. That's Joy's analysis of Truex and Plant. Me personally, I think it's going to be a great fight. I do agree with the notion that it's going to be a really interesting test
Right.
for Caleb Plant. I would want him to overcome Caleb Truex. That way, we could get that big super fight at 168, as well as perhaps lining it up with um, Andre and Billy Joe to see who really is the baddest man at that weight class. But for what it's worth, January 30th, Fox BBC, Plant versus Truax, Battle of the Calebs. One represents Tennessee, the other represents Minnesota. Which one's going to come out on top? Tune in to find out at the end of the month. All righty. That's the end of round 2. Let's go into round 3. I wanted to revisit, Joy, the proposition of Canelo fighting Andy Yildirim. So, to refresh everyone's memory, Andy Yildirim's from Turkey. He is the mandatory challenger for, I believe, the WBC 168 that Canelo earned over his win over Callum Smith a couple weeks ago down in San Antonio. He's coming off a loss that took place 2 years ago now, but he is a matchroom client. He's the mandatory challenger. With all the politics inside, so we're not setting anything aside here, Joy. Mandatory challengers, bad form. Something sounds a little bit unattractive about this. And do you really think this is good for Canelo's resume to being the best in his division?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Wes. I do think, there's not a lot that Canelo has to prove left. I do think that it is kind of sketchy. Why are you fighting? Well, right, like Yildirim is a mandatory challenger for Canelo's title. And Yildirim, the last time he fought was 2 years ago. And so, yeah, like I don't think Canelo has anything left to prove. For me, I think it's hands down. For some people, it might still be a debate, might still be an argument. But yeah, I do think, like you said, it's more. Perhaps this is more about having the fight in Mexico, pleasing the Canelo fans. Um, Obviously, he is the face of boxing, and a lot of his, the majority of his fans are Mexican, and I think this is perhaps a great love letter to Mexican boxing. But I would have loved to see another fighter going up against Canelo. Like I said, I mean, we've also discussed this, Wes. We don't actually know who Yildirim is. We haven't really heard of him, and so it's kind of, yeah, it's sketchy, especially he's a Matchroom client, and Canelo, he pretty much works. I think by now he only works exclusively with Matchroom. So yeah, I would love to have someone else in there, perhaps a Billy Joe Saunders. I would have loved to see that, but yeah, I think at this point of Canelo's career, I think he is the number one pound for pound. There's not a lot of people in his way to stop him or to slow him down, and I think this is just a fight that they're probably gonna give to the fans, just to the Mexican fans in their home turf.
Okay. Yeah, no, because if you ask me, I don't think this is a good matchup.
Absolutely not.
It,
I don't
it
think
sounds
so.
it sounds very one-sided.
Mm.
Um, the way you set it up, Joy, and you can clarify this. I'm going to give you room. It sounds like a swan song fight, but what's there to swan song about? Canelo has a
Right.
lot of fight left in him.
Exactly. So, you know, I think it goes back to what you know, you touched on earlier, Wes. It's a matchroom client. It's the it's the mandatory fighter for for the belt, for the championship belt. So it's not, like that's the thing, about these sanctioning belts. There's a mandatory fighter, and whether the fighter actually deserves it. He lost his last fight. That was 2 years ago. Um, maybe Canelo has just been beating everyone up above him, that he's actually climbed up the ranks these 2 years. So I don't know. I don't know, Wes. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is like the politics of boxing that you know we don't normally get to see. It's behind closed doors. But I mean, like I said before, there's not a lot of fighters left that Canelo can fight. I know that he's already vacated his belt, I think at 165, so going up to 168. He's absolutely going for Caleb Plant. He's absolutely going for Billy Joe Saunders. So it's interesting. If this is the last fight at that weight class, and then goes up to Caleb Plant, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I do think that the fans deserve a little bit more. You know, but like I said, there's not a lot left for
Sure,
Canelo to fight in that division.
sure. And Joy, I think you meant to say 160.
160. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. But yeah, no, it's kind of weird. It's especially when it's someone that you never heard of and his
Right.
form is bad, but somehow he gets a title shot still.
Right.
Very rare, very lucky though. So
But I mean,
we'll
hey,
see.
well, we've seen Cinderella stories come true before. We've seen Andy Ruiz shock the world, right? So, and that's only on like a 2 week notice. But
2 week notice, yeah.
right, so we will see. But I think Canelo, I think he's got this. Like we said, Russ, right? We discussed this. We think he's the pound for pound king, going up against a guy who is semi-retired at the moment. But we will see.
Sure. But yeah, so just to refresh everyone's memory before we close out the round, Canelo is said to be fighting Abni Yildirim in Guadalajara, Mexico, towards the end of February.
Hmm.
That is not set in stone, but of course, a fight like that would stir up a lot of conversation given the resume of Abni Yildirim. But okay, at end of round three, we're going to the fourth and final round tonight, Joy. And speaking of championships, let's keep talking about it.
Right.
Let's talk about straps. So there's a lot of straps out there in boxing. There's, to name a few, IBF, WBA, WBO, WBC,
WBC, the
Ring.
ring. Yeah.
Um, sure I know I'm missing one,
That's
uh, but
IBF,
yeah, sure, IBF,
IBA. Yeah,
IBF, yeah.
there's so ma- there's so many.
As Dave Chappelle would say, it's too much.
It's too much. Yeah,
It's too much.
it's too much.
There should just be literally one
One
champion. If you
championship.
ask me, if
Yeah,
you ask
yeah.
me, because
You
you look
know,
at UFC, you look at Bellator, and you look at like old boxing. There's
yeah.
only like whoever was the champ was the champ.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I think there's this phenomena in boxing where we want to decorate these boxers, to see who's the best of the best. But like you said, it's also down to the politics, right? Some champions can't go up against other champions, and so like, it's strange. We thought that boxers were already kind of segregated based on their promoting or promotion company,
Oh, absolutely. Oh my
and
gosh.
now it feels as though they can only fight, you know, fighters within that whatever championship they align themselves with. So yeah, it can get a bit convoluted at times, but yeah, I wish there was just one. When Muhammad Ali said, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world." Like it's just one. Like he was just the one, right?
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you, Wes. I agree. There's too much.
Right. It's too much. And yeah, like I said, you see UFC, you see Bellator. Whoever's a champion in that weight class is the champion. There's no other, champion one, champion two, champion three,
Right.
and then we fight to unify. Right.
Right.
So, but while the climate is still as it is, Joy, what is your favorite strap and why?
My favorite strap is the Ring Magazine belt. Oscar De La Hoya actually talked about this recently, that Teofimo loves the ring belt, the Ring Magazine belt. He said especially because there's no sanctioning fees. Of course, that's just how a promoter would talk. But not only that, I do think it's the most unique one. Um, it looks old, but like it looks outdated. But at the same time, it looks like a world championship belt. Like, it looks like it's special, and it looks like, you can't just hand it, left and right to like other people. And I don't know. Yeah, to me, it's so unique. The Ring Magazine belt. It's not like the most cleanest, but it's also the most unique. Like I said, and yeah, if there was a belt that I would want to win, it would be that belt. To be honest.
For sure, I totally understand that, Joy, because it looks like a winner, right? With the
Yeah.
red, white, and blue, and the gold in the middle. It looks more fitting. I would say it's pretty pretty close with the belt that I'm going to propose in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like Ring. It's also very unique. Not too many people have it.
Right. And not. Yeah.
But the belt that I want to bring up, and I think it looks good on just about anybody, any winner in boxing, and that's the green strap, WBC.
Hey.
Because look at that. I mean, who doesn't want? I mean, because the shade of green to me is perfect.
Yeah.
Got you got the picture of Ali, you got the picture of like founder of WBC, and then on the other ones it's like pretty much you, and then like the guy you fought for it, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
I remember.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wes.
and it's like that big gold plate that says, or big
Right.
gold plate that says World Champion WBC, and it's got all the flags on it.
Yeah.
You get a free T-shirt,
Yeah.
and it looks good on everybody, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I completely agree with you, Wes. I think it's the green that gets me. The green, to me, kind of symbolizes like, power in a sense. And I don't know if it was Mike Tyson, West. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mike Tyson was the first one to actually wear it around his neck. He didn't wear it
yeah,
around
like his neck, like chest area.
yeah, like a chain. So like he didn't actually wear it around his waist. He wore it around his neck, and that was like
He wore it more like a crossbody.
right. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I guess that's how I kind of imagined the WBC. The baddest man on the planet. kind of earning the WBC belt. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's so distinct, it's so unique, and it feels like it would be one I would want to win, especially with a picture of Muhammad Ali.
And yourself, if you're especially if you're the narcissistic type.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like well, speak on Mike Tyson's side anecdote. You're the best man on the planet when you're showering with the damn belt. You've heard of that story, right?
Yeah.
And when he won it, he would shower with the belt.
Yeah.
You think doesn't that like mess up the leather? But that's besides the point.
That's besides, yeah.
But yeah, listeners, fighters, trainers, fans, I want to know what y'all's favorite belt is. Whether it's the deep maroon of the WBO or the black of the WBA. WBA is real interesting because they got two.
Yeah, they got two of them.
Super and the regular.
Yeah.
It's and then confusing. If you're Manny Pacquiao, you got them both.
Well, Wes, let me ask you something real quick.
Sure.
You know how, like, when fighters retire, obviously, whatever, all the titles that you've earned throughout your boxing career, you probably will lose them, or you're probably going to have to vacate those titles. But when these fighters do retire, I've seen a lot of retired fighters still having probably a replica. Is that a replica belt that they would?
From what I heard, listening to Joe Rogan. So if there's any Rogan listeners here, welcome to our show, the No Decision Podcast, and check out our other podcast, Run It Back, when we talk about Formula One. If that's your cup of tea. But from what I heard, I feel that maybe they give them a replica.
Right.
A part of me feels like, just also listening to what UFC does, or used to do, is that they made a new belt every time.
Ah, okay. So whenever there's a handing of whenever there's a change of hands of the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Joy. Like, if let's say you beat somebody and they were the champion, you don't want a belt that like has their hands on it. You don't know what they've done with it, right?
It's taking showers with it.
Exactly, and I'm sure like with Floyd and Manny and all the other fighters that are multiple world champions, even though they don't have those titles anymore, I'm sure they have like their original, if not a replica for them to hang up.
Right.
Because I can't imagine a scenario where they literally took the actual belt from Manny's hands back in 2012, 2013?
Yeah.
12. And then just gave that exact same one to Tim Bradley. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I think it was just it was interesting. I think it was just like, yeah, I remember I think it was Evander Holyfield. He probably did an interview, and it was probably George Foreman, but he had an interview in his home, and he still had the belts, the World Heavyweight Championship belt behind him when the World Championship belt was still active at the time. So it wasn't, like it was kind of strange, like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I've also thought the same about my heavyweight right now, Anthony Joshua, when he lost his 4 titles to Ruiz. I think he still had his. He just wasn't allowed to bring them.
Right. Yeah.
So for whatever reason, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that happening. And plus, boxing makes too much money to where it's like, okay, guys, let's be super practical. One belt. So. Joy, I know you're the winner, but if your belt has a tear already, don't complain.
Don't complain.
I
was about to say, like, there should be some wear and tear on some of those belts. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
so.
Like, the guy you beat broke the Velcro. Sorry, too bad.
Was it? Oh, what team was it that broke their? It was a college football team. They accidentally dropped their trophy.
I don't know, but either way, that's pretty embarrassing.
So.
But for the boxing world, I can't see somebody breaking their belt the minute they win it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So again, listeners, let us know. Fighters, trainers, fans, let us know what your favorite belt is. We would like to know, and there's no right or wrong answer. We're not here to debate.
Yeah.
Everyone likes what they like.
Right.
And
these belts are supposed to do, like, their job is to, like, make the champion look glamorous, right? It's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and it's cool as fans, and yeah, pencil pushers, as you like to say, Joy. It's cool when we see them lift them up because
Yeah,
they worked so hard since they were literally kids to earn those things.
yeah, absolutely. It's probably the most figurative like definition of beating some guy, and then now you have his reign, you have his belt. Like yeah, you have
Sure.
yeah.
No, no, I totally get it, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that's pretty much the end of round four, Joy. We've made the distance. We
Hey.
talk about belts. I think there should be a belt for the both of us for talking about belts and telling the world how we feel about them belts. Um, but yeah, Joy, anything you want to get out there before we close up the gym for tonight?
No, that will be it. Thank you for the great show.
All right, Joy. No, my pleasure. Thank you for getting in there with me. And for those joining us in the gym tonight, we're closed. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Anyhow, but you can come back next week. So thank you for joining us again. For Joy Villapana, I'm Wes Ibarra. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.